Things can go from 0 to 1,000 real quick. Hey, it's your buddy Moo Juice Magic, and we're going to watch a video from 2021, way back 1,000 years ago. And we're going to go all the way to Florida because, well, let's be real, it's Florida, and if you want to see something crazy, you watch stuff from Florida. It's a short video, and I did have to mute the audio for copyright purposes, but you do not hear any of what leads up to this, let's say, altercation. So just bear with me, and we'll get through it, and then we'll break it down. Good night. Ouchtown population, you bro. So what did we just witness? Well, this fellow here in the tie is one Justin Balboa. He works at a restaurant. He's gotten off work, throwing a few back, having a good time with people, just BSing, not really paying attention to what's going on around him, which is pretty common practice. If you ever have been to a bar, you see at least 50,000 people that do this. You know, that's obviously an exaggeration, but there's always at least one or two people. You know, they don't focus on what's going on. They're focused on the good time, and there's nothing totally wrong with that. But it does lend to not being the most polite person on accident. Okay. Now the fellow coming up behind him in the black shirt, he went outside for a smoke, returning to his table. I mean, we know what goes on from here, but right now he's trying to get back. He sees the dude in the way. This fellow behind him is Joe Stitch 'em Up Schilling. He has one of the fastest KOs. He's a professional fighter, and with a decent record. Not the greatest MMA record. He fought in Bellator. Excellent kickboxing record. I think is 23-9. So a decent fighter. Obviously, he's trained. And he's walking back to his table. What gets me, part of this, is the cameraman is from his group, his party, Joe Schilling's party here. So that's kind of odd. You know, just an aside. I'm not saying anything's negative's going on. I'm just saying that just strikes me as a little strange. Okay, that was not, believe it or not, an aggressive action on Joe's part. That was a regular thing that people do at bars. I do it all the time when someone's not paying attention, they're kind of drunk. I have very little surface to walk through. You know, you got a funnel to walk through right here. You have him, a bar table really close with patrons on it. You got a waiter right in front of you. You have people at the bar on the other side of the waiter. You have a very small area to walk through to get back to where you need to go. So you do the, hey, move out of the way. Sorry, man. I gotta get by, or watch out, or whatever. Just, you know, it's never a big deal. And in this case, we see even Justin Balboa says, hey, yeah, no worries. And then he decides to say something else that gets Joe's attention. Joe turns around, and as we see right there, Justin is not being as friendly. I know it seems like it's not the case, but if you look here real slow, we'll back to right here. Joe turns around. He's actually in a pretty neutral stance. It does seem like if it seems like he's hiked up a little bit, it's just because of who he is, how he's built, which is something adjacent to a brick shithouse, as they say. And, you know, Justin Balboa is starting to immediately get into a posturing stance and throwing a feint. What is a feint? Well, a feint is a fake punch. Right there. So quick, Joe's response here. But right about here, you see Justin's back foot move back. He steps forward with the front foot with his right hand back, like he's going to throw a cross or a hook. Even if he doesn't, that usually leads to go into something else. If you've trained at all, trained correctly, or trained in a reasonable manner for actual fighting, a feint is, this is the Bruce Lee doctrine, a feint should always be followed with a strike, and you should act accordingly if someone throws a fake strike. A fake strike is an aggressive shot. It may not be an attack, but it's an aggressive movement that usually leads to an attack. The best defense is an excellent offense, and Joe shows a perfect offense, in my opinion, in this situation. Boom, boom. Quick and easy, lights out. That's all she wrote. Good night. Now, you can say, well, it's because he was just a regular dude and Joe's a professional fighter. That's a little horse crap. This whole register your hands as a deadly weapon thing is an idiot's guide to not knowing anything about combat. It's an argument people come up with when they try to make it sound like, well, this guy knew more, so he suddenly shouldn't have the right to defend himself. And it's incredibly ignorant. As far as he knew, you know, Justin might have been a fucking pro wrestler, not like fake wrestler, but been able to shoot a leg and drop him on his head. You never know in these circumstances. Hell, he could have had a blade he didn't see. Believe it or not, that's quite possible. You act on an instant when you're trained, and that's what happened here. Now, this did go to a court case. We'll break it down. There's a little news article here. I'm going to read an excerpt from. And it said, we're talking about, what happened here. And here's the court findings. That Schilling used only such force necessary to neutralize a threat, which is accurate in my opinion, personally, as a guy who's trained martial arts and taught martial arts. Good defense is a great offense. And that's what we're seeing here, in my opinion. Schilling used such force necessary to neutralize the threat and therefore entitled to immunity pursuant to, it gives the state statute. Defendant is entitled to an award of reasonable attorney's fees, court costs, compensation for loss of income, and all expenses incurred by defendant in defense of this action pursuant to, and another, the same statute. So here's the thing. When you sue somebody, you better make sure that you're going after them correctly, especially in a situation like this, especially if you were intoxicated. And he did say, Justin Balboa did say he had been drinking. He didn't say he was drinking a ton. He said he was drinking. He went to the police department the next day, and even the police officer that saw it, when watching the video back, says, I think he figured you were throwing a feint, which is what Joe figured, which is what I would have figured, which is what I think most people in Joe's shoes would have figured. Believe it or not, someone just shoving you can end your life. It seems crazy to think that, but you have to be on your feet about things. Now, Florida has a stand your ground law, which means you are not there's no expectancy for retreat in a situation where you feel reasonably threatened. And in this case, he felt threatened. Well, you could argue, well, he's a fighter, he's trained, he should know better, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, he did exactly what he was trained to do, and it's on the other guy for A, not paying attention to his surroundings, B, not controlling his actions, because whether you like it or not, even inebriated, you are responsible in a court of law for your actions. You see it with DUI wrecks, you see it with anything else like that, negligent homicides, things like that. You're responsible for your actions. In this case, again, the court sided with Schilling. I sided with Schilling. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But yeah, it was a quick little video. I just wanted to break that down and just kind of give you guys, an idea of how fast these fights happen. A fight can feel like a really long time for those involved. For everybody else watching it, it can be over in seconds. And the escalation to that fight can be even faster. As we saw, it went from nothing to very much something in just a matter of seconds. And those seconds matter. So be careful when you're out drinking. Keep control of how you speak. Be aware, even if you're inebriated, you can be somewhat aware that going into it, hey, I have to keep track of my thoughts because I know I'm going to be intoxicated. I should probably try to tone myself down. And if you get to the point where you don't have that self-control anymore, you should have checked out long before picking a fight with a professional fighter. It sucks to get hit. He wasn't busted up too bad. He did try to make it sound like it was a brutal beating at the hands of Schilling, and that wasn't. That was absolutely reasonable. Schilling threw 2 shots, realized he was down, didn't follow up, didn't go to the ground after him. He exercised excellent self-control, in my opinion, there. Now, it's also interesting to note, Justin Balboa previously had sued another bar for a bar fight that the bar staff said he initiated. In that fight, he says, apparently he picked a fight with like 5 or 6 guys. He claimed one held a knife to his neck and said all these things, but he was apparently very inebriated in that fight too, according to eyewitnesses. It's important to just keep track of who you are and what you're doing in these circumstances. So kudos to Joe for using his training appropriately and for having the self-control not to follow up and do an incredible amount of more damage. So I do want to thank everybody for the videos and for the comments. I appreciate it. If you've noticed, constructive criticism, I take it to heart. And one of the things that we're saying was, people were saying, was that I talk too much and pause. I pause too much through my videos and talk over them too much. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm doing the video, then my breakdown of things. I'm going to try to do that from now on, because a teachable man is valuable and an unteachable man is not. Anyway, thanks everybody for the comments. I appreciate it. And thanks for the subscriptions, the subscribers. I appreciate that. We're getting pretty close to 200. And my goal is 500 by the end of next year. So, hey, cool. I appreciate you guys. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And if you like this format slightly better, I'm still going to talk. I can't help it. I'm Irish, okay? It's what I do. I got a jabbermouth. It's how I make up for my very low self-esteem. Contrary to what some people think, I do not suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. It's quite the opposite. Most of us that get out here and put ourselves out there do it because we're compensating for our own emotional problems. So, thanks. Anyway, love you guys in the face. Mood Juice Magic. I'll catch up with you guys later. Oh, if you celebrate it, have a happy Turkey Day.